Innovation is inherently a gamble. You can never be sure that your new ideas will be adopted or even accepted. But luckily for Ludwig Vorgrimler, his 1958 gamble certainly paid off. The Gewehr, or G3 battle rifle, is an iconic German rifle from the height of the Cold War, and served as a rival Western battle rifle to the incredibly popular Belgian FN-FAL and later M16 assault rifle, continuing to be a commonly fielded rifle to this day in various forms. Based on German designs conceived in the waning years of World War II, and utilizing a radical new method of operation, the G3 would go on to become the basis for a number of HK firearms for years to come, including the famous MP5 submachine gun. In use globally for nearly 70 years, the G3 has been adopted and adapted by dozens of militaries and insurgent groups since it entered service, remaining a reliable and trustworthy battle rifle option. With a weight of around 9.7 pounds and measuring 40.4 inches long, the iconic German rifle fires the NATO standard 7.62x51mm cartridge out of various capacity box magazines at rates of 500 to 600 rounds per minute. Firing at speeds of 800 meters per second, the G3 is effective at a maximum distance of around 1,000 meters. The G3's story begins back in the closing months of the Second World War, with German engineers Ludwig Vorgrimler and Theodor Loeffler working at Mauser. Mauser had been one of Europe's premier firearms manufacturers since it was founded in the early 19th century, producing a number of important weapons in firearms history such as the C96 semi-automatic handgun, the Gewehr 98 bolt-action rifle, the Karabiner or Kar 98K bolt-action rifle, and the Gewehr 41 semi-automatic rifle, becoming a crucial piece of the German war machine during the war for weapons manufacturing and development. Over the course of the war, Germany would pioneer modern rifle design, inventing the first assault rifle, the Sturmgewehr 44, in 1943, and Mauser, seeing an opportunity to develop the concept further, made a lighter and easier to construct variant, as well as developing the roller-locked operating mechanism of the fearsome MG42 to create a roller-delayed operation, which they would later call the Maschinenkarabiner Gerät 06, but their weapon is better known as the Sturmgewehr 45. As the Allies closed in on Germany, and after the German defeat, many German weapons designers were hunted down by the Americans and Soviets to bolster their weapons programs in what would become the Cold War. But the Mauser team Vorgrimler and Loeffler were a part of, developing the STG-45, would find themselves and their equipment at the newly founded SEAM Institute in Mulhouse, France. Here, Vorgrimler and Loeffler would continue perfecting their wartime designs for a roller-delayed blowback weapon, managing to produce the SEAM Model 50 before the French scrapped the project. Vorgrimler would leave SEAM soon thereafter, heading south to the Spanish SETMI Institute, where he would restart his work on roller-delayed firearms, reconfiguring the SEAM Model 50 for SETMI's 7.92x41mm cartridge, and then a locally produced Spanish 7.62x51mm cartridge, releasing the modified weapon as the SETMI Model 58 in 1958. Around this time, the recently formed West German Army, or Bundeswehr, were searching for a modern rifle design to adopt as their new standard-issue weapon. The Belgian FN-FAL was seen as the obvious frontrunner for the Army's designation. It had been widely adopted by much of the Western world and had recently been selected by the West German Border Guard as the G1, but would still have to compete with offerings from Switzerland with their SIG SG-510, the Americans with the Armalite AR-10, and the Spanish with the SETMI Model 58. Soon, the SETMI rifle would emerge as the most likely candidate, mostly as FN refused to grant the West German government a license to produce the weapon themselves, and the Germans would look elsewhere for a new weapon. At the time, a Dutch company by the name of NWM held the production rights to the weapon outside of Spain, so the West German government offered them a contract to supply 20mm ammunition to the West German Air Force in exchange for the rights to produce the Semi rifle, and the West German government then contracted Heckler & Co. and Rheinmetall AG to produce the weapon in Germany. This version of the weapon would be designated the G3, and featured a number of improvements to the design from H&K before it entered service, adding plastic stock furniture and strengthening the main spring and buffer to allow the G3 to fire the full-power NATO 7.62 round instead of the slightly weaker round it was originally chambered for. By 1977, H&K had negotiated with both their fellow G3 producers and the West German government to buy the sole rights to the G3 design, which it retains to this day and has leased to various nations over the last 50 years. The rifle itself is unassuming, having a very utilitarian appearance, being built from stamped steel and encased in plastic furniture, and though not overly capable of handling fully automatic fire with its full-size rifle cartridge, it was more than suitable for the battlefields of the time, serving as a clean and dependable battle rifle design throughout the latter half of the 20th century. In terms of variants, the G3 has dozens that have been produced over the last 70 years, and H&K themselves have produced a number in that time. The G3A1, A2 and A3 would all emerge around 1963, the A1 being the first variant with a retractable stock, and the A2 having a new rear sight and a free-floating barrel to improve accuracy. The A3 was the most important of these 1963 models, having improved sights, a muzzle brake capable of firing NATO standard grenades, a plastic buttstock, and a plastic handguard compatible with a bipod. The G3A4 would enter production in the early 1970s, being essentially a G3A3 with the retractable stock seen on the G3A1. By the late 1970s, H&K released the G3K4, a carbine version of the G3A4 with the same retractable stock, a shortened barrel that's not compatible with a bayonet or rifle grenades, and the handguard from the HK-33 assault rifle. The G3A3, A4, and G3KA4 all have A1 variants adopted by the West German Armed Forces, all having ambidextrous fire selectors and brass deflectors for left-handed operators. Along with these variants are a number of specialized G3 models to suit different purposes, such as the G3TGS, which is simply a G3 with an attached 40mm HK-79 underbarrel grenade launcher. The TGS coming from the German translation of portable grenade launcher. The G3A3ZF is another of these, having a telescopic sight attachment, the ZF coming again from the German translation of telescopic sight. The G3SG1, introduced in 1972, is the sharpshooting variant of the G3, the SG coming from the German translation of sharpshooting rifle. This variant has an added scope, dual-stage trigger, a modified buttstock, and a lengthened handguard with an integrated bipod. The PSG1, introduced in 1985, is a sniper variant of the weapon, with a longer barrel, semi-automatic only operation, and strengthened receiver. The PS coming from the German translation of precision sniper rifle. The MSG3, introduced in 1988, is another sniper variant, and features a longer barrel and new telescopic sight with the same buttstock as the G3SG1, with the MSG coming from the German translation of military sniper rifle. The MSG90 is a cheaper and lighter variant of the PSG1 with a longer barrel and slightly different trigger arrangement, serving as another sniper/marksman applicable G3 variant. Outside of Germany, the G3 has been adopted in these forms by the likes of Pakistan, Turkey, Greece, France, and Saudi Arabia, along with having a number of foreign-made variants such as the Norwegian AG3, Swedish AK4, and Iranian DIO G3-A3 bullpup rifle. There also exist a number of civilian variants of the G3 design, such as the HK41, SR9, PTR-91, and HSG-41, all of which being semi-automatic only versions of the design. In the decades since the G3's introduction, the weapon has become a staple of the militaries of the Western world, forming one part of the Western Cold War rifle trinity, along with the FN-FAL and Colt M16. And as with the FN-FAL and the M16 remaining in active use in recent years, the G3 remains a common sight in the hands of dozens of militaries around the globe, and especially with guerrilla forces, due to its exceptional reliability and durability, along with serviceable accuracy and its much lower cost when compared to its contemporaries. As a result, the G3 has seen combat in dozens of conflicts worldwide since the 1960s, such as the Nigerian Civil War, Nicaraguan Revolution, Iraq War, and the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine. The G3's notability goes beyond just its widespread use, but also in the firearms lineage that it birthed, with many subsequent H&K weapons being based on the G3's roller-delayed operating mechanism, such as the aforementioned PSG1 sniper rifle, the HK-21 general-purpose machine gun, HK-33 assault rifle, and the incredibly significant MP5 submachine gun, which would go on to become one of the most successful submachine gun designs of all time. The so-called HK slap was also introduced with this weapon, its revolutionary operating mechanism requiring a forceful slap to the charging handle to fully drive the bolt in position for the weapon to fire after reloading. The first in an iconic lineage of roller-delayed weapons, the G3 is one of the most successful battle rifles of the Cold War, remaining popular to this day and serving as effectively and efficiently as it had at the height of American-Soviet tensions more than 50 years ago. Thank you so very much for watching these videos. Please like and subscribe and comment below what you'd like to see me cover next.